Alright everyone, this is the second video. We're going to be looking at finding the anaerobic threshold. This is for the GXT lab, video number 2. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up our instruction sheet again. And we are looking at page 9, just as a reminder. And now we're looking under method 2. Alright, graphs for dual criteria method. Alright, dual criteria being criteria 1, criteria 2, dual 2. Okay, so we're going to be looking at method 2A, the first criterion, and we're going to plot VCO2, okay, versus VO2. We're going to do that on one graph, and what we're looking for is the breakpoint, or the nonlinear increase in VCO2. That's going to be reflective of the first ventilatory threshold, or VT1. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up our Excel sheet. Now, this is the tab TMATRCP graphs, okay? If you don't have it pasted in already, what you need to do if you're working with the raw data and you haven't entered anything in is you want to go to the data that we sent you, okay? So this is the data from one of the males, for example, and this is just simply the raw data that we get from the metabolic cart, okay? And we're going to highlight everything that we need for our Excel sheet. Our Excel sheet goes all the way up to heart rate, so we're going to go ahead and highlight all the way down to heart rate, Control C to copy it, and then we're going to go back to our other Excel sheet, and we're going to highlight all this and press Control V in order to copy it in. Alright, so now we have the values that we actually want. However, I've got values in there that I actually like, and it's good for example, so we're going to actually revert back to that. Okay, so once you have this here, the first thing we need to do is create our chart. Let's get a reminder as to what that is. We're looking at VCO2 versus VO2, and we're looking on one graph. Okay, so this is simple. VCO2 versus VO2. We're going to highlight VCO2, and we're going to press Control, and we're going to highlight VO2. Alright, once you do that, you're going to go to Insert, Scatter, go ahead and hit the first option there, and that gives us a nice graph right here. First thing we want to do is make sure we label it. So, go ahead and choose the option that suits your needs. We are going to label it VO2 versus VCO2, and it's important to do this right away because once you get started, you're going to end up with, or after you get started, you're going to end up with a ton of graphs, and if you don't label them, you're not going to know what is what. Alright, so let's go ahead and blow this up a little bit, get a nicer view. And for the sake of time, I'm not going to label the axes, but we can assume that it's VO2 and VCO2 and liters per minute. Okay, if you want to format the series, you guys know how to do that. Right click, go to Format Legend. Excuse me, not Format Legend. Right click, go to Select Data. When you're in Select Data, you have Series 1, Edit Series 1, and you have whatever you want in there, and press OK. Obviously, it doesn't matter for this one because there's only one variable here. Not one variable, but one data point. So, on the other graphs that we'll be doing where there are two trend lines, for example, that will come in handy. Alright, so what are we looking for in this graph? This is VO2 versus VCO2. Now let's go back to our instruction sheet, and we're looking for VT1, or the first ventilatory threshold, and we're looking for the breakpoint in this graph, the nonlinear increase in VCO2. So let's go back, and this is fairly simple how we're going to do this. We are going to insert, go up to the third tab from the left, okay, go to Insert, and you want to go to Shapes. Pick Line, very simple. And what we're going to do is we're actually just going to draw a straight line from the beginning of the data points all the way through. Now, you'll notice that if I try and keep it straight for at least this portion here, the other data points tend to break off, okay? So we'll go ahead and plot that line, and you'll notice that there's a nonlinear increase up here. Okay, so that's exactly what we're looking for. I'm going to go ahead and insert another line. So go to Insert, Line, and we're going to do the same thing from up here this time. And we're going to come down, and you try and get it as good as you can. Obviously, it's estimating, right? And what I like to do is make different the lines different colors. So once you do that, the drawing tools format will show up, and go ahead and color that red. Okay. All right, let's take a look. Let's zoom in a little bit. And we have two nice lines here, and we have a breakpoint in this relationship, which is exactly what we're looking for. Okay, so in order to determine where that breakpoint is, let's go to our handy line function. Again, actually, let's do an arrow for fun. Okay, and that point where they crisscross is where we're going to call the VT1. Okay, so we'll go ahead and draw a line straight down. And there we go. So we can assume that VT1, or the AT with the first criterion, is going to be between 3 and 4 liters of oxygen per minute. And let's assume, let's say it's this would be 3.5, so let's say 3.35. Okay, so let's go back to our word sheet here. So for method 2A, first criterion, we got 3.35. Okay, I'm going to highlight that just so that I can remember it. Now, first ventilatory threshold, breakpoint in this graph, nonlinear increase in VCO2, we got 3.35. And in your results, since you have to do this already, I would like you to go ahead and include these relationships that we'll be working on here with the lines so that I can see how you did it. That goes for my lab specifically, so if you're in another lab, then you can disregard that comment.